Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be explaining detachment, how to do it properly, what it actually means to detach, and I'm going to give you the example of an SP throughout the video since I think most people want to manifest an SP if we're being completely honest. So I'm going to use an SP throughout the video and I think that will make things a lot more easier to follow with and it'll be more a digestible video. But again, everything I'm saying is applicable to pretty much everything. Like it doesn't just have to be an SP, it doesn't just have to be uh, like one specific desire that I talk about in the video. It's applicable to everything I talk about. So if you're manifesting a house, car, money, job, literally anything, fucking Nintendo Switch 2, whatever you want, right? It's all the same, okay? Every desire is the same. So whatever I use for today's example can be applied to everything. So getting that out of the way, let's talk about detachment. What is detachment, right? I feel like whenever I hear people talk about detachment, it's always something that's like you have to stop, stop wanting the thing and then it comes into your life, or you let go of the desire so that it can find you. Where I feel like none of these things really mean anything. They're kind of like a nothing burger of a statement. Like you hear people say that because it's easy to say that, but it doesn't really mean anything. So, let me tell you what detachment really means. It means the acceptance of knowing that your desire is already done. Not that you have to let it go, not that you have to stop wanting it, but accepting that it's already yours. This is what detachment is. Because think about it like this, right? If you are detached to something, right? For example, your name. You're detached to your name because you know it's your name. I know my name is Vadant. I could care less. I know it is my name. No one's going to tell me it's not, right? I know this is my PS5 controller because it's mine. It's on my desk. I'm holding it, right? I know this is my mouse. It's mine because I'm holding it, right? This like cat thing is mine. It's because I'm holding it, right? It's in front of me. I know it is mine, right? So I'm detached to these things. I'm not looking for them in the 3D world. I can be at work, still know I have this controller. I can be at school, right? I can be on campus. I still know I have these things. So this is what detachment is. It's knowing it's yours and you're not worried about it, right? And so how do we get to this point of acceptance, right? Well, first, you just accept that it's yours. That's the first step. But, that's easier said than done. And there's a few more steps that go into that I'm going to explain in today's video. So definitely stay completely throughout the whole video because you're going to just get the most out of it if you do that. So let's get right into that, okay? So first is understanding it's not the thing you want, right? It's what that thing says about you. So it's not the girlfriend or the boyfriend or the wife or the husband that you want. It's what that person says about you, right? When you're in a relationship, you're seen, you're loved, right? You're chosen, committed to. They're faithful, they're loyal to you. Ideally, these are the things that we want in a relationship, right? This is what we are looking for. This is what we want to see in somebody, right? So it's not necessarily who it is, right? You can want anybody, right? A face is just a face. These are all illusionary things. A physical appearance is a physical appearance. All illusionary things. But that's not necessarily what you want, right? So this is going to be how we peel back the first layers of so-called resistance, right? I say resistance, but resistance isn't really a real thing because it's you are the only one saying that you're resisting something, right? You're saying that based off a feeling or belief that you have within yourself, right? And if you have that belief, just fucking get rid of it by claiming otherwise. But anyway, that's its own thing. But essentially, understand that it's what that thing says about you and what it makes you feel that we want more so than the person itself. An example of this, right? And I heard this in a video from a content creator I love to watch, right? His name is Eric. His channel is called I Am Awareness, I think, or The Power of I Am, I believe. Definitely check him out. He makes great videos. But essentially, what the example he gave was if you were promised that, hey, you can be with your SP right now, okay? But they're a dirtbag and they don't treat you the way you want, but you're dating them, you're probably gonna say no. I'm gonna fucking say no. Most people are gonna say no, right? So this is kind of putting into perspective that it's not really the person you want, it's what they make you feel that we'd rather want. That's what we actually are, the core of what we want, right? What this says about our identity, what this is confirming about us. That confirmation is what we want. And so, going on to our second point, we have to understand that the ego is going to try to weaponize this person, okay? they're going to try to weaponize this person and this desire in a way that is against us, right? It's going to try to make this thing seem unattainable, or it's going to spin this narrative or a story about this person that you might have had a relationship in the past, so you already have a story with them. It's going to try to continue to spin that story, or it's going to try to spin a new narrative if it's somebody new, or it's going to try to get you to believe in all these like old beliefs about relationships, about whatever it is you're desiring. It's going to try to get you to believe these things, right? So an easy way to look at this, and I used this example in one of my videos before, and I think it's a really easy example to follow, and I think it'll really help you guys out, is I want you to think about your ego like a marionette, okay? What does a marionette do, right? A marionette controls a puppet. So, there are strings on the hands of your marionette, on the marionette, that are controlling the puppet. It makes the puppet move, right? So, it gives life to this puppet. And essentially, what I'm getting with this is your ego is going to use your desire, it's going to use your person as a puppet. And I'm not saying that in the physical world, right? Your ego can't control anything that's happening in the 3D, right? Not necessarily. It's our identification that creates what's happening outside. What we're identifying with, what we're believing as true, that's then seen on earth as it is in heaven, right? That is its own separate like entity almost, right? That's a different discussion. But what you have to understand is that your ego is going to try to control the puppet, your desire, your person in your mind, okay? So it will continuously spin a certain narrative. It's going to continue a story about somebody in your mind, right? Where everything's taking place, everything's happening internally, right? And what we have to do is recognize that it's going to do this. This way, when the ego is attacking you, or it's trying to spin a story in your mind, or it's trying to say something about your person, or it's trying to like, hey, remember when they did that to you? Yeah, that was really fucked up, wasn't it? Or like, it's spinning all these, it's throwing topics at you that don't feel comfortable, like something that you rather wouldn't, excuse me, want to experience, or something you've experienced in the past. It's going to try to get you to fear that, right? And it's going to use this person as the anchor for those things. It's going to try to separate you from the love that is already real, the commitment that's already within you, right? So take a step back and forget about the person, right? The ego is trying to separate you from the identity, from the feeling of knowing that you are love itself. It's going to try to separate you from the knowing that you are already committed to. It's going to try to get you to separate from what makes you whole. That is what the ego is going to try to do. And it doesn't do this in a nefarious way, right? I know it sounds like I'm really like kind of shitting on the ego, and I am, but why I'm doing this is to get you to understand your ego is just a defense system. It is the greatest defense system that your body has, okay? Its single job is to protect you. Its sole job is to keep you alive, right? And so if you've experienced something in the past that hurt you, pain, emotional pain does not feel good. Sometimes that emotional pain translates to physical pain. So your body will remember that. Your mind is going to remember that. Your ego is going to remember that. And it's going to send you these attacks, these warnings, these signals to try to get you to like, hey, ease up, like relax, like stabilize, remember what happened here? I'm trying to keep you safe from that. We don't want that to happen again, right? But again, it's the identification with what happened in the past or a repeat pattern that's in your life that's keeping it alive. Your identification with ego, your egoic beliefs, is what is keeping a certain pattern or belief in your life alive. It's just that simple, right? It's not what's happening outside of you, right? This 3D world is just a mirror. So it's only going to show you what you've accepted as truth for yourself. That is exactly what I'm getting at, right? So we can't look in the 3D world and be like, oh my god, I'm seeing this and that and this and that. Like, I'm not changing this, nothing's changed. Yeah, nothing is going to change in the outside world. You know why? Because it's a mirror, right? You first have to change internally, and then we see the reflection of that. When you wake up in the morning and you take a shower, you think about what you're going to wear, right? Ideally, you think about what you're going to wear, and then you look in the mirror to see how it looks, right? So you're doing that internally first, right? And then we see the reflection of that outside. So keep that in mind. But going back to what I was saying initially, is understanding that your ego is going to try to do this is what's going to strip away its power to do it to begin with, right? So you understand that when it does fight you, it's going to send you intrusive thoughts. It's going to make you remember memories. It's going to send words and visuals and all these other random things that have a pretty bad connotation to them into your mind to get you to react in a certain way, to start identifying with that lack of safety again, right? Because ultimately it's trying to keep you safe. So understanding it's going to try to do that, you can counter that. You now know how to counter that. By recognizing it, you can just say, no, actually, it is safe right now. Like, you denying what the ego is saying and then actually saying, actually, no, it's actually this way instead, is how you fight it. So you do this enough, right? You do this consistently. You're going to deny the ego consistently. And as you do this, you're stripping away the power of it. You're stripping away naturally the attachment to something because you're telling it, you're telling yourself, you're recognizing and acknowledging and accepting that what you have is actually here now. Even without the physical confirmation of it, you're telling yourself, you're reminding yourself that it's already done, that it's real and you have it, right? And you have to understand, we aren't doing these things to make it happen. It's like I said, it's a reminder of what already is. So as we do this, right, this is why I say your self-concept is so important. And it's so important to detachment and specifically because as we're doing this and we continuously work on our self-concept, right, we're raising ourselves to a higher level, right? We are saying the best things about ourselves. We are like constantly believing the best is working for us, that it's happening for us, then naturally you will start to become that identity and you're going to care less because if you only experience the best, I'm not going to accept or tolerate any other bullshit, right? I'm not going to accept or tolerate a worse scenario than what I know is the best one. So you're naturally going to stop thinking about that. Think about it like the most relaxed times in your life, like the periods of your life where you were the most relaxed, where things were just so great and flowing. You weren't even considering the worst case scenario. You weren't the identity who gave a fuck about that, right? It was your identification with, oh my god, there could be a worst case scenario, and then you acknowledging that, and then you feeding off that, which then created that, right? So understand that. This is how we get to such a peaceful. The idea is we want to create a peaceful life. Like we want to have peace with it, right? Peace with our mind, then peace is reflected back to us. And we do this by building the self-concept of somebody who already has a peaceful life. The way we do this, we are constantly reminding ourselves, affirming, and just doing things that we like to do in our day-to-day lives. This is why having hobbies is so important, right? Having any sort of like other things in your life going for you that you're doing recreationally or doing for fun, things that make you happy, things that make you feel like you're productive. These things are so important because these things also help you detach because you're more focused on the 3D in the sense where you're present here. And when you're present, you're not fixated on time, right? And when you're not fixated on time, you're detached because you've accepted it's done, right? So this is why we want to build ourselves from the ground up, from in terms of self image or your self concept, because it is important. And so when you get to this relaxed state, this relaxed identity that knows it's inevitably there, right? And knows that it is going to be done regardless because I've seen it real in my mind, I've said it and claimed it as truth right now, so that's all I ever had to do. It's done, it is inevitable, it will make itself seen. So what do you care, right? You know it's gonna come in. You're gonna come in. It's gonna happen anyway. So what? There would be no need to be attached to it, regardless, right? Like for those of you who might play video games, right? If you know a video game is coming out and you pre-order it, you're not gonna constantly check when the game's gonna come out. You already know. You already you purchased the game already. You know it's already in your library, but the date of when the game physically comes out isn't here yet. But you're not gonna constantly check and refresh and refresh and refresh to see if it's here yet. No, you already have it. You have the game. So you can naturally just play it whenever it comes out, right? And that's the whole thing with manifestation. Think of it like that. You made a purchase, right? And you already have it. Now you're just waiting for it to ship to your house. You're not really even waiting. It's already yours, right? when I say waiting, I'm not necessarily saying that we're waiting for it to appear in front of us for it to be real, but you're just letting the 3D reflect. We don't know when that'll be. We don't know how time is going to work out in our reality at all. We just don't know. Okay? I can't tell you anything. There's nothing you can read online that's going to make your manifestation come faster. Understand that, okay? There's nothing you can do to make something unfold faster in your life no matter what anybody says. All right? But the best place you can be is a relaxed, calm, accepted state, a detached state. And what this does, like I said, naturally removes time from the equation. And once you remove time from the equation, you don't give a fuck anymore because you're not waiting. You're just accepting. You can again, and as you're in this state, you might still have thoughts that are coming up like, oh, where is it? Or like, I haven't heard from them. I haven't done this and that and blah blah blah. Like all these excuses, but they flow right through you. You don't even acknowledge them. You don't even care for them, right? And that's where we want to be. We don't care for what the ego tells us. We don't care for its warnings because we are not it, right? We don't need it to survive, right? And we don't need it to intervene in what is already ours. And this builds up like sort of a resilience to your ego. And so once you do this, you build a repertoire of how it attacks you, and then you just don't care. You don't care for the emotions. You can feel everything. You can feel sad. You can feel yearning. You can feel happy, excited. You can feel every spectrum of the emotion as heavily as you want, and still be detached. Right? You can think about your person all you want, and still be detached because you have accepted they're yours. Acceptance is the most important part, right? And again, I've been saying this and I've been saying this, I've been saying this throughout the whole video, but what makes this all work is acceptance. The knowing that it is inevitable. And inevitability is key because knowing it's inevitable is what brings it into your life, right? When you know something's inevitable, nothing can stop it from happening, right? Like inevitably, you know that this video is going to end, right? This video is going to inevitably end at some point. In fact, when you look and you click on the screen, you can see exactly when it's going to end. But in this kind of situation, right, it's inevitable because at any point we can just close our eyes and visualize it and see it exactly. Or we can speak with our mouths and experience it exactly how we want to just by speaking it, right? Remembering it already happened, remembering its existence, right? So it's the same thing. Knowing is inevitability. Inevitability is the key to detachment. Detachment is knowing it is inevitable, right? I can word this in like so many different ways. But the entire, if you're going to get anything out of this video, right, is that you just want to get to a state of mind where you feel as if it's inevitable, no matter the thoughts that come into your mind, no matter the emotions you might feel, or no matter if you can see anything happening outside or not, right? Inevitably, you are going to be in a relationship with this person. Inevitably, you're going to be in a relationship anyway. Inevitably, you're going to experience intimacy anyway, right? And that's where you want to be. But if you can accept that, right, then you're golden. If you're at that point, you can stay at that point. Like again, I don't want to say stay at that point because it gives this false idea that like being in a state is something you can just knock yourself out of. That isn't the case. The only time you're ever not in a case or in a state is if you are actively saying you're not, or if you're affirming that, hey, I'm not in this state, or if you're identifying with your feelings, you're like, but I feel this way, so therefore I'm not, right? If you're saying those things, if you're believing in those things, then yes, it is true for you that you are not in that state anymore because you just fucking kicked yourself out, right? You told on yourself, you snitched on yourself. So what you want to do, stay in one, just no matter the thoughts, feelings, and emotions that may arise, tell yourself you still know it's inevitable, that I still am in this relationship now. And this is what it does. It builds resilience, it builds the identity. You keep working on your self concept, you'll naturally detach, and then eventually it's gonna show up in your 3D. You guys are gonna be super happy, fucking make love and have a billion babies, whatever, right? So yeah, hopefully this video made a lot of sense to you. If it didn't, I can clarify in the comments. I can explain it further in another video if you want me to. But don't overthink detachment. We overthink it. We try to understand it more than we have to, and then it makes the whole process so difficult for no reason. So hopefully this video helped you guys out. If it did, let me know in the comments. I have coaching available. Link is on my YouTube page, so if you want to book with me, you can do that. And yeah, catch you guys in the next video. We're gonna have another episode of Whispers Through the Veil happening this week, so stay tuned for that. And catch you guys later.